Righto, so today we're going to solve one of the internet's biggest mysteries. What the f is the difference between TONEX and Amplitube? Which product is best for who are they for, and which one is better? That makes about as much sense as asking what's better, a stomp box or a screwdriver. They're both tools, but they both do different jobs. Alright, you pack of legends, welcome back to my series on the IK Multimedia Portable Guitar Studio Bundle. Today specifically, we're going to have a look at TONEX versus Amplitube, see who they're for, see what they do, and then you can make your own informed decision about which product is right for you. Full disclosure first though, the bundle was provided to me by IK Multimedia's Australian distributor. I didn't pay for the bundle, but I haven't been paid for these videos either. They're not going to see the videos before they go live, but in full transparency, I didn't pay for this product, but all opinions are my own. So let's go. If you're anything like me and you've had a look at IK Multimedia's amp sim offerings and you've wondered to yourself, hang on, don't both of these just make guitar noises? Well, you're not alone, and today we're breaking down which one does which what, exactly which what. Cool?
What?
We're going to play a whole bunch of riffs through these softwares, and yes, there is going to be scientific testing. Science. So one brand is making two amp sims, but what is the difference between them? The easiest way to understand it is this. TONEX is capture technology, whereas Amplitube is a virtual guitar studio. TONEX takes a real-world amplifier, measures its behavior, and turns it into a digital capture using witchcraft. Now, Amplitube is more like Lego for guitarists. You can build complex pedal chains, stereo guitar rigs with 3 guitar amps in it, change your cabinet, change the speakers in your cabinet, change the microphone types, rack gear. I mean, the possibilities on this thing are freaking endless. So let's dive into TONEX first in a bit more detail. Like I said before, TONEX works on captures. So typically a capture is off a guitar amp and a cabinet in a room using microphones to mic up that cabinet, and if you wanted to, you could feed it through some outboard gear like EQs and compressors, goes through a bunch of digital wizardry, and then out pops a newborn baby TONEX capture. It is an accurate picture of your amp in the space that it's in, at the settings that the amp is currently at, using the microphones that you've got in front of it, into a little box of goodness, or in the TONEX software. And because the tones you're creating are based on real gear, it feels real. It feels convincing. It feels like an analog bit of kit.
Wow.
Enough waffling though, let's actually go hear how TONEX sounds. I'm gonna play a bunch of different riffs through a bunch of different amps so you can see the versatility and the absolute breadth of this thing. Righto, so TONEX tones, 80s MIJ Strat HSS. We are playing at the moment through a Fender Basement and it's just set clean. Nothing on it. If we put on a little bit of reverb, let's see what this does. So yeah, nice sort of organic clean tones. Let's go to something a little bit more crunchier. All right, next up we've got a Marshall JCM 800 by Amalgam. Just usable bare amp tones. Alright, and finally for my high gain brothers and sisters, this time another Amalgam capture, Mesa Boogie triple rectifier with an Ibanez tube screamer in front of it, metalcore classic, and it sounds like this. Sweet, sounds like a Mesa Boogie triple rectifier. TONEX is awesome if you're the type of guitarist who just wants to pull up a preset onto your pedal or onto the software and just run with it. It is amazing for that. No tweaking, no anxiety, and no existential crisis about where you're going to stick a microphone. It is all done for you and it's brilliant.
Wow.
One of the coolest things about TONEX is that you have access to the ToneNet, which basically means for free, you can download user-created captures of any amp you could possibly imagine. All right, now let's talk about Amplitube. It is basically a giant, overgrown virtual guitarist playground. You can change pedals, pedal orders, amps, cabinets. You can have multiple different types of speakers in the cabinet. Each cabinet can be mic'd up with 2 microphones. So you can essentially move your microphone forward and back, left and right, and then around the speaker as well. Stupid. Absolutely stupid, in a good way. There are a boatload of different microphones and every cabinet can be mic'd up with 2 different microphones. The level and pan can be controlled independently for each of those microphones, and the cabinet can be placed in a variety of virtual room sizes, and you can control how loud the room sound is in your microphones as well. You can place effects before the amp, in the effects loop, and even after the amp as well. There are 500 series rack modules that you can put in the effects loop and at the back end of the rig as well, emulating how a rig would be recorded in a studio. And reading through the manual from memory, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure you can add 52 different modules in your rig chain. Meaning, I can have a whole boatload of different effects pedals going into 3 different amplifier heads, going into 3 different cabinets, each cabinet with 2 different microphones on it, feeding through 500 series rack gear, and then being, outputted in stereo. Like, the combinations you can do on this is stupid. But at the end of the day, all those options mean f*** all if the thing sounds like... Alright, let's go play through Amplitube and see what it sounds like. We're just going to muck around with a couple basic rigs, and then I'm going to make an absolute monster, something that in a real world setting is completely unusable and impractical, but hey, we can do it digitally, so why the hell wouldn't we? Alright, so Amplitube, same deal again. We've just got a Fender amp, same guitar. We're just going to play similar sort of clean riffs and see how they sort of sound. If this channel was monetized, you wouldn't be able to demonetize me, so haha. Cool, so it sounds like a clean Fender amp with a Phase 90 on it. Oh, the next sound we're going for is just the Strat on the neck pickup going through a plexi with a vintage EQ and an LA2A compressor on it, and it sounds like this one. Really good. I don't know what to say. Like, I'd use that on a recording. It sounds killer. Obviously, you could use it for a few little EQ tweaks for your guitar and for the mix that you're doing, but as a jumping off point, there is nothing wrong with that. Alright, so Amplitube 5 rig from hell speed run. Let's go. So what do we want? Do we want 2 amps? No, boring. Let's go 3. First amp. Let's say with JCM 800. Let's go maybe a mini plexi, like a Friedman sort of thing, and then whatever this thing is, because it looks cool. So first cabinet, we're just going to do a whole bunch of dumb stuff. So we're going to go 1x15. For the Friedman, we're going to go with a Leslie speaker. This is going to sound like absolute poo. I know it is, but hey, I'm just going to show you what you can actually do on this. That thing, let's just go a 1x18, because why the hell not? 1x15 bass cabinet, let's change the microphone. So for the first one, 609, and then for the second one, I'll go a 421. We can move the microphones around like so. You can also move it around the actual speaker cone itself. Second one, let's put here. What sort of room do we want our cabinet to be in? I want it to be in a hall. And then finally, the 1x18. Nothing says bass microphones like a pair of SM57. So that is exactly what we are going to do. And then for the room, I'm going to stick this bad boy inside a Subway. Guitar rigs aren't complete without stomp boxes. And what's the best stomp box in the world? Not a Tube Screamer. So we're going to use 3 of them. And then we're also going to use 3 rats. Not actually going to play this thing until I've finished just adding a whole bunch of random stuff to it. Let's pretend to be the edge and throw some rack mounted reverb in the effects loop of this. Nothing says reverb like shimmers. Shimmers everywhere. But then we'll also let's throw plates on the back end of it as well. Why not? And then a room on that one. And then a digital on that one. Let's throw some delays scattered around the place. Then what else can we do? Let's throw an LFO in the effects loop of that because I don't know what it's going to do, but whatever. Throw a step filter in there somewhere. Let's put a fuzz on the back end of this because we can. And just to make things interesting, I'm going to go a whammy set to an octave down in the effects loop of the Friedman. And then we'll put an acoustic sim on that as well. We might be ready to test it. Now, it's only fair to go neck pickup just to see what it's like. I'll go an E chord, I'm going to roll the volume on, see what happens. Totally usable. You know, that's horrible. Here's a better example of a 3 amp setup, one of the presets called 80s. Go figure. So that gives you a bit of an idea of how you actually build a sound. Don't do what I did. Do not do what I did because that was stupid. But it just goes to show you how overboard you can go on this thing, and that isn't even nearly half the amount of stuff you can add to your rig before it maxes out. Same deal with Amplitube. You've got access to ToneNet. On the ToneNet, you can download a whole bunch of presets people have made for Amplitube for free, with one caveat. Because the bundle comes with Amplitube 5, you don't have all the models at your disposal. So you need to be careful about the ones that you do download. You can substitute out different effects on microphones if you don't have that. I just wish IK would have a function in the search thing for ToneNet where it filtered out results of gear that you don't actually own and only showed you the results for the product that you currently own. That'd be so much more helpful. So who are these amp sims for? TONEX. If you're the type of player who's chasing instant tones, record-ready tones, a tone that you've created digitally that you can take on the road with you. Guys who want a direct solution without having to spend a fortune on something like a QC that you can fit on your pedal board. And people who just hate tweaking sounds. You basically just load a capture and you're off to the damn races. TONEX is for you. Find your tone, play a riff, done. It's that easy. Then who is Amplitube for? Amplitube is for the tweaker. It's for the dudes who like getting down and dirty with what they're creating, having ultimate control over your tone, being able to record direct and then go in after the fact and muck around with tones to your heart's content. You want to stack a Blues Junior with a triple rectifier? Yeah, you can do it. Do you want 3 reverbs going into a fuzz, going to 3 reverbs, going to 3 amp heads, going to 3 cabinets, going to 3 500 series delays? Sure, do it. Do you want to know what it sounds like to play 5150 through a Leslie cabinet?
Stop it. Get some help.
The stuff you can do on this, it's amazing and it's really creative, but be careful of getting caught in the rabbit hole. I've spent way too long just mucking around with combinations that, you know, in a real world you'd never actually use, but just, you know, for fun. Yeah, why the hell not? But here is one thing, right, that excites me more than anything is using both of them together. Amplitube and TONEX at the same time. It's basically the guitar equivalent of that taco ad with that little girl saying "Pocos nos dos" or whatever the hell it is, I don't know.
¿Por qué no los dos? But Captain Tone Monster, how do you do that?
Well, I'm about to tell you. The coolest thing about Amplitube is it has TONEX functionality baked right into that bitch. So we're going to jump into that right now. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about and the tones that you can create using TONEX in Amplitube. So if we come over to the screen, on the right hand side, you've got all your little bits and pieces over here. We're going to click on TONEX. And what I like to do is use amps out of TONEX, but use the cabinets that are in Amplitube. So we can filter our results. We don't want a full amp with a cabinet and a stomp box. We don't want a full amp with a cabinet. What we want is just a head or a head and a stomp box. What I like to do is just organize my list based on amps so I can see exactly what I'm getting into. And for our example today, we're just going to have a look at one of the Tone Junkie Matchless Brave amps. So we're going to click on that and we can see that our amp down here changes. Now, 412s, 410s, 212s, all that sort of stuff. Let's just go, for the sake of simplicity, just an open back 212. That mic on the 45 will keep the SM57 where it is. I'm going to throw a tube screamer into the front end off it, gain down, tone down a little bit, level up. So let's just see how this sounds now as it stands. If we need to make any tweaks, we can go back and do that as well. Things it's a little bit too overdriven, so I'm going to back that back and then just up the level a little bit more just to push the front end instead of getting gain from the pedal. Cool. Now the cool thing that you can do in this as well is in the TONEX, if you haven't used TONEX before, you've got noise gates and compressors and reverbs and that sort of stuff. You can actually use the effects on TONEX in Amplitube, which is kind of fun. So I'm going to go plate, mix it up a little bit, give it a bit of pre-delay, back the time off. So as you can see, it is a pretty versatile bit of software. You've got all the stuff that Amplitube has, all the stuff that TONEX has as well. It's a really, really cool cross integration between two different pieces of software. Good job, IK. Now, if you're not in the market for a complete studio bundle, you've already got interface and monitors and all that sort of stuff, and you're looking at getting into this sort of software, but you don't want to spend a bunch of money in case you don't like it. The cool thing about it, IK offer free versions of both these products, in a limited sort of scope. I think the custom shop version of Amplitube has 40 different models to get you started, whereas the free version of TONEX has 20 amp captures that IK provide for you, and you can also download 20 of your own. So you've got, 40 different amp captures. It's not massive, but it's free, and it's going to give you a taster of what the product is all about. So my final thoughts on these two. The good, obviously TONEX sounds and feels incredible. I've been using it for donkeys. I have recorded heaps with it. I've played live heaps with it. I'm a convert. I'm dyed in the wool. I'm not getting paid to say this. I actually really, really enjoy their products. So much so that I was actually making videos about TONEX before Sound Music and TONEX even knew who I was. The things that I don't like about TONEX, and this isn't a reflection on the software or on the pedal, is that the tones you can get out of the TONEX are only as good as the capture. Meaning, if you've got a capture that was recorded with a $15 microphone in less than ideal circumstances using an amp, not mic'd up properly, that was half broken in a crappy room, the capture is going to sound crap. And it's not the pedal's fault, and it's not the software's fault, it's just a crap capture. Looking at the free ones, it takes a lot to sift through the average ones before you find gold. You have a lot more luck if you go out and purchase add-on packs from IK or dudes like Amalgam. They're incredible, but it is, further money, more you got to outlay to get the tones that you want. Amplitube, the scope of stuff you can do in this bit of kit, ridiculous. You can come up with some really interesting tones, craft and hone things to the nth degree, get it dialed in absolutely perfect for whatever you need it for. It is great. But therein lies the problem, and that may be just for me, but the option paralysis and the failure to commit to a sound leads you just going down a rabbit hole, potentially that takes you hours, and at the end of it, you've come up with a tone that is not necessarily any better than what you started with. So just be mindful of that. It is a really great product though. Like the sounds you can pull out of it are awesome. The options are endless though. So just be mindful of that. The second negative, and it's a double-edged sword because it's kind of good, but it's also kind of bad, is there's not many presets. And the presets that you get, they're kind of rubbish. I know what they've done. They've basically just overbaked all the presets to show you the functionality of the software, but not necessarily something you're going to use as a ready-made tone sort of thing. The good thing about this though is there's not many presets to have to wade through, and while they aren't really great, they do show you the full breadth of what this thing can actually do, and that's kind of helpful as well. It's like a hands-on manual, I guess. But anyway, that was a really brief look at the differences between TONEX and Amplitube 5. If you like this sort of stuff, go and hit that like and subscribe button. Also, be on the lookout because we're going to do more of these videos on the IK Multimedia Portable Guitar Studio Bundle, all the gear that's in it. There's a bunch of videos that have already come out. There's a bunch of videos to come as well. And at the end of it, we're going to record, a couple songs in different genres using only the hardware and software that comes in a 770 in Australia, so $500 in America, full studio bundle kit. We're talking interface, monitors, DAW, virtual drums, virtual bass, virtual synths, pianos, keyboards, percussion, like everything comes in this kit. The only thing I'm providing is my own guitar and an SM57. Everything else is in this box. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bye.